Hi and welcome. If you're looking to replace your headset bearings or cups or steer bearings, whatever you call them, it is quite overwhelming and confusing. Even for me as an experienced mechanic, I had to write stuff down and sort of systematically put it all in one place so that I can more easily find the right stuff for different bicycles. In this video I will not lie to you that it is not a bit confusing. It is quite confusing, but I will try to take it easy in a simple and structured, systematic way, show you what to look at on your bicycle and what to measure so that you can find the right bearings for your bicycle. Even if you don't ask for help at a bicycle shop but decide to shop online or whichever way. I even think that this might help some mechanics, at least for the exotic stuff. So with that having been said, this video will have a table of contents. Most of my articles and videos have tables of contents so that you can skip to the parts of interest and look back after a while as a reference. And this first part will be called, of course, the introduction. And I also already made some articles on my website. I will put links to those articles in the video's description, and if I don't forget, I might make them pop up in your top right hand corner. And in those articles I've also explained the names of different parts, the names of different standards, took photos showing what to and how to measure, but I think that a simple video demonstration will definitely have, even if you've already read those articles. And at the same time, the articles go hand in hand with the video description, because there I have the list of all the standards, measurements and everything. So without further ado, sorry for the long introduction, let us begin. Don't be scared, take it easy, one step at a time. This is basically, it looks more scary than it is. You need to look at 4 things on your bicycle, and you need to measure 4 things on your bicycle. Maybe 3, maybe 5, depending on the model, but that is all there is to it. And I will not go through the historical or similar way. I will try to put it in a logical structure. And so the first thing that you do, okay, so do not forget, in this video I will not be showing how to disassemble and how to install your headset and your fork and your stem and other things. I have separate videos and articles explaining those things. So if you need to replace your headset bearings, I will start this with the understanding that you could disassemble it and measure it all. You cannot measure it until it's disassembled. So without that, it's no use watching this video. You need to remove it. And again, I can refer to my other articles and videos showing for different models and types how to take it all apart, some with improvised tools, some with professional tools, and whatever you need. So now to start, you will start by looking at your frame. Here I have 2 frames, and one of them has the cups that are just put inside. Sorry, the bearings. The bearings are just put inside, and the frame itself is working as a cup. That system is called integrated, or IS. That is what I noted here. So there are 2 basic standards when you are looking at your frame: the ones where you need to press in the cups of the bearings, and the ones where the frame is a cup of the bearing and you just slip the bearing in. The integrated, or IS, are the ones where you just put the bearings in. This is what that looks like. You usually have these angled bearings and you just place them inside your frame, and that's it, and you can remove them by hand and it's the whole bearing. That's how you can tell that you have that standard. On the other hand, the other standard is press fit, and there you need to use some tools or improvise them in order to install the bearings. And this is a typical press fit frame, and here is the cup, a cup of a press fit standard, so you cannot put it in by hand. It's not going sliding in, you need to press it. So the inner diameter of the headset tube head tube is a bit smaller than the outer diameter of the cup. So you have some sort of interference feed. Those are two different standards, the most common, and it is important to figure out which is which when you're buying headset cups. That's all there is to when it comes to looking at your frame. Yes, there are those press fit headset cups that don't stick out like these. These are called external because this top section sticks out and the bearings go on top. There are some that go almost flush and they are called zero stack or internal. They have several different names all listed on my website, but for buying bearings it's not really that important. If you buy zero stack bearings instead of these external ones, you will affect how far your fork sticks out and you will have your frame tilted a bit forward. It's just 1 centimeter of difference. It won't affect handling in a severe way. And if you're not sure and you can find the external cups, that's the safer thing to make errors on, because it will make your steering a bit maybe it won't affect your steering in a more aggressive way while moving the bicycle with a shorter fork effectively by replacing the external cups with the zero stack cups. It might make your steering a bit more twitchy, but differences are not easy to notice. It's small difference, and so if you haven't got the original cups to know which is which, then just look and see if your frame is more of a flat design, that's the press fit, and if it has these grooves, opa, almost dropped it, and if it has these grooves to right from the start without much lip protruding, then those are slip-in or integrated headset bearings, and that's the major difference when it comes to your frame. Okay, now let's hope I don't drop these frames again. Good. Now when it comes to forks, you need to first check if your forks have some threads. If they have threads, they are threaded forks. This is a threaded fork. The threads are on the upper section. And if they don't have any threads, that's a head, or threadless fork, however you wish to call it. That's the first important difference. If your fork happens to be threaded, it's usually of uniform thickness of its neck or steer column. But threadless forks sometimes there are two versions, the tapered and uniform. This one is uniform, it has the same diameter of this section all the way, while tapered come at the lower section a lot thicker. It's noticeable, it's very obvious, no way to miss it. So if you see that your fork is getting a lot thicker in the lower section, then you're dealing with a tapered fork. And I'm measuring this, you will measure diameters. So you don't have to even know if it's a tapered fork, you will just see its different diameters and it will be clear. But sometimes headset bearings, cups are sold in sets, and sold in sets for tapered forks, or people at your local bicycle shop will ask you, is it a tapered fork? And that will make it easier for them to give you the right things. Sometimes when you just bring the measurements, it confuses the salespeople because not everyone knows all these things. So that's just the thing to look at your fork. Does it have threads? And if it doesn't, is it tapered or uniform? Okay, so that's the information that you need to know, the basic information about your frame and your fork. And now I will just show you what you need to measure. You basically want to know the dimensions of your upper section of your frame and of the lower section of your frame. For the slip fit cups and for the press fit cups, both ways, this is the simplest way to do it. Just give me a second to show. Calipers are a simple and not very expensive tool, and they are very precise and accurate at measuring the outer diameter. So if you have cups at hand that are nicely fitting and not destroyed or deformed, you can just measure their outer diameter and then look up on my website the closest metric standard for the it's standard is a strong word in cycling industry, but let's call it that. There is SHIS, SHIS, however you pronounce it, sort of a standardization, but not every manufacturer of headset bearings gives you that information. German stores are generally quite good with noting that, but not all the stores do. So that is the closest we can get to making it uniform and less confusing. I have an article about that. It's in the video's description. We'll make it pop up in your top right hand corner. So either way, you need to measure the outer diameter of your cup. You do that for the top cup and for the bottom. If your fork is tapered, the bottom one will be larger, of course. So that is important. For the slip fit bearings, you can take the whole bearing and just measure its outer diameter. That's the first thing that you need to measure. Now, you could measure it on the fork, sorry, on the head tube, measuring its inner diameter. But this tool is very imprecise when you need to measure the inner diameter, because you see these sides, they are very sharp to allow you to measure accurately, but the downside of that, or as accurately as possible, but the downside of that is that you can place them a bit aside. This is obvious mistake, but here I placed them aside and I got a smaller diameter than it really is. So I need to sort of guess where the middle is, so that I measure across the largest diameter to see to really measure the diameter. And so you can go and do it if you do it in a few attempts and see the largest result that you get, and with a lot of patience. And if you look at those tables on my website and see the closest matching standard, if that's the right word, that might help you manage, but it's better to use the fitting cups that you just took out and that you know for a fact that fit the frame. So that's a lot of talk, but really it is simple. You just need to measure the diameter of your interface for the top and the bottom cup and know which type it is. Now for the fork measuring, if your fork is threaded, then you will need to know the thread pitch, and for that I will refer to you to my article that lists the threaded standards. There are a few depending on the fork's outer diameter, and this one is 1 inch and 1/8 or 28.6 millimeters wide. So you can look it up and see what thread pitch it is. And it's if you have some exotic threads, also look at the information on my site just in case, and see if the parts, the headset cups that you get that have also that threaded part are moving smoothly. So that's another thing to pay attention to when it comes to measuring the fork. And for the other measurements, it does not matter if your fork is tapered or not. You need to measure the top section of your steering column to see the diameter. This is again 28.6 millimeters nominal, and in metric, but the nominal size is 1 inch and 1/8. That's the nominal size. So you need to measure the upper section, and for the lower bearings of the headset, you need to measure the part where the lower headset crown race is punched or pressed onto. You see, I will try to show it. This here, it's more visible. This lower section is wider in diameter compared to the rest of the steering column. So that is where you use a special tool to punch or press the lower bearing race. Or if you have those fancy cartridge bearings, then you don't have that. Then you have this with the slit, so you can, in theory at least, press it on with just hand, and it will get in place because the cartridge bearing comes with its own race, inner and outer. So this is not really acting as a bearing race in that case. It rhymes, but just as a sort of an alignment. But in this case, for these other types where you have these ball bearings, or depending on the headset design, then you really need to take a tool and punch this into place, and the difference is about 0.5 millimeters, sorry, 0.05 millimeters. So the outer diameter is a bit wider than the inner diameter of the race. Anyway, with cut the story the story short, you need to measure the diameter of the place where your bearings will sit, and let's just try to get this measurement. Okay, so here I've got 30.12 millimeters, and this is 30.09. This is the trying to align this to make it centered, and so it's over 30 millimeters the diameter, and the race's inner diameter will be just below 30 millimeters, and so that is for the one standard, and its SHIS note is 30. It's rounded down for that purpose. Of course, if your fork is tapered, you will get a lot larger results. So to sum it all up again, now in a bit of an iteration, maybe I should have done that first, but please accept my apologies. Anyway, you need to measure to first figure out by just observing whether you have the slip fit or integrated headset, or the press fit one, the interference fit. That's the first thing to note. And if it is interference, just check on your frame if you have the cups, if they are very short, very smooth, almost aligned, those are zero stack, or if you have those external cups. I don't have any zero stack bearings now at hand to show you, sorry. That's as far as frame goes. And then when you're looking at your fork, check if it is threaded, and if it is not, check if it has a wider lower section, so it's tapered, or it's all uniform, so non-tapered, let's call it standard if we can. And I almost forgot to note one thing about the slip fit bearings. I'll get back to that by the end of the video. Let's just go through this. So those are the first things to note, and then when you're measuring, you need to measure the inner diameter of your head tube, but it's easier to measure the outer diameter of your headset cups because of the tool imperfections. There are special tools for measuring the inner diameters, and if you want to buy those and use them, good. Not sure what they're called in English. So that's the measuring of the frame, and you need to measure the fork's upper section of the steering column and the lower section where the bearings race is pressed on. It's usually pressed on, and that's it. And if it's threaded, you need to figure out the thread pitch, especially if it's very old bike. There are some standard ISO and Japanese standards, slight differences. I have it all written down, no way to memorize it for me at least, sorry. So I'll again refer to those articles. Now, do not forget again, when measuring, it's always with calipers better to find things where you can measure the outer diameter instead of trying to measure the inner diameter. With these, it's inherently inaccurate and imprecise. Now finally, when it comes to angle, these slip fit bearings, they came with 36-degree angle, and then later they came with 45 degrees. The 45-degree angle has now become standard, but not all the frames have that. And to measure that, if you have some bearings that are well fitting, it's a lot easier to measure. I'm not sure how I would measure it in the frame to be really accurate. It would be really awkward. I would need some small tools and things, but with this you can measure it if you're not sure. There are also differences in this diameter on the inside, but when you buy a set of cups, you will get the matching angled attachment. This is for the lower set, and this is for the upper set. So this is always matching when you buy these as a set, so you don't have to worry about this angle. Whatever it is, the matching thing in set will come. Manufacturers don't sell the unpaired ones, so no worries about that. This is the outer part is important to measure, and I will show you two ways to measure it, and for that we will move to the table. Hope we don't break anything. Okay. So this tool is used to, I should turn it on probably. Okay, this tool is used to measure diameters, and you don't really need to use it, but if you have it, that's one way of doing it. So the idea would be to put this on a flat section and try to see, trying to get it across the middle and see when they align more or less. So this is 44.3 degrees. I put it upside down. Okay, let's try to reverse it so that you can see more easily. So trying to align it, you can see the gap here, trying to align it, and we're there. I'm looking at this, not at the numbers, but this is 44.3 my tool reads, but this is it's not 36. It's not 36 degrees definitely. If we go with 36 degrees, you can see the amount of gap they are not aligning. So that's one way of measuring it. There is another way that's, for me at least, a bit simpler. It may sound crazy, but here I need 45 degrees to check if it's 45. So here I have 20 degrees, and if I add 25 degrees, that's 45 degrees roughly, and put it on flat ground. These are cheap to get for knife sharpening, and I'll make a separate video about knife sharpening and their limits, but I use them for this. And so here I'm trying to put this so that it aligns. When I put pressure, it's standing on that flat surface, and I can see if it's roughly the same angle, and that's how I would conclude that it's 45 degrees. Now to make it 36, how can I make it? 20, 17, and 17 is 34. So that's not quite 36, but it's as close as it gets. And you can obviously see that the angle is very much different. They are not aligned, so it's nowhere near 36 degrees. So those are two ways how you can measure this. It goes without saying that I don't really like these standards, because I prefer things to be replaced, this as a whole, both the bearing cup and the bearing balls. And in this case, the frame itself is acting as a sort of a bearing cup, and the frames get worn and damaged over time, especially aluminum and carbon fiber, and so it doesn't look like a very durable solution. At least that's my opinion based on my experience. Some people love these, and I'm happy for them, but generally these are a lot more difficult to find, a lot more expensive, and I'm not really a fan of those, even though I did get a frame with that standard exactly because you buy what's available, comparing all the other things that you need. So that's a topic for a separate video. So I don't think I forgot to mention anything. I hope this video helps you and gives you some idea. If you have any questions, or especially if you have any corrections or additions, please use the BikeGremlin forum on bikegremlin.net. YouTube does not let you search for questions and answers and comments directly if you know some term or some words or some measurements, and so it's a wasted effort both on your side and on my side if I'm replying in terms of helping other people, while forum comments and posts can help a huge number of people who have similar problems. I see a lot of similar questions over the years, and that's why I thought to make something that can be searched and indexed easily so that you can find information. And you often, if you go to my website or the forum, you can use the search option there, and it's highly likely that there already is an answer to your question. So that's one thing. And to not forget, I want to thank all the good people who are supporting my work via Patreon. You can support my work if you go to patreon.com/BikeGremlin and choose the amount of money that is okay for you to spend and to help me do better videos, get better recording equipment, and help more people. So that's I don't think I forgot anything. Of course, don't forget to like, share, supplies and I want to thank our friends from Neutral Support. Not the model that they deserve, but that's the best I can do. Thank you for the shirt, it's very cool. It's not a paid advert. And that's the whole video. Thank you very much if you sat through this whole video. I will see you in some other video. Cheers, stay cool.